Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And I realized by one of my friends was I go a little too fast on my tutorials. And granted, I'm just starting out, things like that, but I figure while I'm learning, I can help you guys. So I created this series called Back to Basics. So this series is to help people who are not good with makeup, people who are just starting out themselves with their journey on makeup. This is just what I have learned over the years. I am not a guru. I am not a professional by any means. I'm an ordinary person. I work an ordinary job. I'm just like you guys. So it's one of those things that I just wanted to help people and let them know what I've learned over the years with doing my makeup and just all around. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you want to see. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, here we go.
Okay, so this might be a little bit of a sketchy bit of the tutorial because I have to hold my camera. I don't have a tripod or anything, so we're just going to go through some of the brushes that you can use and it might be helpful to you as a person. Some of these you might not touch at all. Like for me, I don't touch my Beauty Blender hardly ever. And I don't really touch this brush hardly ever for the simple fact that I use multiple brushes for the same thing. So we're going to go down the line and we're going to start with this brush. Now, these smaller brushes, you can get them in more of the traditional style too. I prefer these because I can put my finger on it, hold it, and it may seem a little bit rougher to, press on your face like that, but it's really not that bad. This is for concealer and stuff like that. I've seen some people use it for eyeshadow too. I guess you could put eyeshadow on with it. I just prefer it because it's smaller. It's very densely packed, so you don't have to worry about the concealer, not blending right, because on some of them that are softer brushes like this, it's like you can't really get an even coverage and it gets more streaky if you use stuff like this. So this is why I like the more dense brushes. So I use this for color correcting and concealer and things like that. And it works pretty well. The next brush is foundation. This is what I use for my foundation. And again, same reason I use it as a concealer. It's very dense. I like the feel of holding this better. A lot of people I know use this, the Beauty Blender, for concealer and for foundation and stuff. My only thing with it is it just takes so much time to dab, 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 dab your face and blend everything out, which, don't get me wrong, it looks very good. And I know a lot of people use this because they're afraid brushes are going to make their foundation streaky. And yeah, that sometimes is true, but me personally, I've never had an issue with either of these making my face streaky. I did have past foundation brushes that are flatter, more the traditional style. That did not work well for me. They do make things streaky, but this is a great alternative. I'm sorry, mine looks very dirty, but I promise it's clean. This is a great alternative for people who want pretty much the complete flawless complexion. I mean, it's pretty nice. Next, we move on to powder. You want to set your face after you're done, and you can see that in my other tutorial talking about your face. And I use this for powder. Reason being is, again, it's nicely packed. I've actually seen some people set their foundation and bake it with this. They'll take the loose powder, they'll bake it under their eyes and stuff, and it seems to work great. But for me, on a regular basis, I do not bake. So I use this brush to do my loose powder and stuff like that. Sorry, I cannot talk today. I do my loose powder and things like that, and I also will do a powder contour with this. I'll use the top of it, and it works really well. Another thing you can use is a kabuki brush. They're very, very soft, fluffy, nice brushes. This one's angled, so I also will sometimes use this as a contour, not necessarily to put it on, but to blend it out. It's nice alternative if you don't have one of these. These brushes, for some reason, tend to be more expensive than these. At least that's what I found. But nonetheless, these are still great brushes to use. I would say for powder, either one of those, I will go back and forth. This is also a brush for contour. This one's an e.l.f. and it says bronzing, but this angled and the thinness of it is great for putting a light contour on. If you're going to do something more extreme on the aspect of glam makeup, you might want to go for a cream contour instead of a powder, but if you are using a powder, I do prefer to use this because it keeps it all in one area. But I do not blend with this. I blend with this. This seems to wipe it away a little bit, but this one seems to blend it pretty well. So that's always a good thing. So that's a basis on the face and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of different brushes, and in my face video, I will go over these in a little bit more detail. I'm just trying to give you guys a good layout on what kind of brushes to use. Next, we have 3 different types of brushes that I think are pretty useful. This one I mainly use for base colors and stuff like that. It's sort of like a flat brush. It's a little fluffy, and most, if it would focus, sorry. And most people don't really like these brushes. To place it, they would prefer something denser. If I'm just doing a light base on my eyes, you know, I don't really mind how dense the brush is and everything like that. This right here I use to get into the crease. To really get into the crease, it is a short, very dense brush. Let's see if I can get that in there. Okay, there we go. Short, very dense, so I use this to get into the crease and just kind of pat some of the eyeshadow in. People use all sorts of different things. This is just what I prefer. And this one is pretty essential, I think. I think this is along the lines of, you know, things to apply your foundation and things for your powder. I think this one is pretty essential because it is a very fluffy brush. This is the main thing you want to use for getting your eyeshadow blended out. The reason I don't recommend either of these is because they're so dense. Sometimes they don't blend out right. If you use something nice, light, and fluffy like this, kind of like the same concept as the Kabuki. If you use something nice like this, it tends to overall just even out the entire thing. It's very soft, you know, and none of these brushes are super expensive. The beauty blenders can be kind of expensive, but the Kabuki brush I think I got for $4. These I got in a set for about $15, and each of these brushes are only a couple dollars each. So you don't really have to spend an arm and a leg trying to get decent brushes to start out. I'm not going to go into detail of all the different brushes that you can get because there are tons of them. I know some people who have huge stacks and stuff like that. They're like, oh, well, I use this brush and I use that brush. No, you don't always have to do that. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, I won't even use this brush for my contour. I'll use this one. I'll take the tip of it, run it along the contour or whatever I'm using, and use that to start it out, get the good streak in, and use that to blend it out. It's all in what you prefer. So you can definitely reuse your brushes. I will show you later a good way to skip between colors, like with this. If you want to do multiple colors, I will show you how to skip between the different colors on each time you use it. Also, a lot of people are going to notice I don't have a lip brush. I do not use lip brushes very often, if ever, because 9 times out of 10 I use a liquid lip, and those come in the doe foot applicators and stuff like that. So they're just so easy to apply. There's, to me, no reason for you to ever need an extra brush for your lips unless you're going for exact precision. So that's the layout of the brushes. I will show you now how to clean them. All right. Now we're going on to cleaning the brushes. The first thing is you want to get a makeup brush cleaner. This one is just Got it from Sephora. It was only about $8, and I've barely used any of it. I've had it for about 3 months. I mean, it is amazing. I love this thing. So if you have, say, the oval brushes, say this is my foundation brush, they have little eggs, little things that you can use to scrub against it. If you're starting out and you're a beginner, you might not want to use that, for the simple fact that I've seen some people go way too hard on the brushes and completely destroy them. So if you're starting out, I think the best thing you can do is just do it by hand. It's not that difficult, and it's easy. I mean, I think it's so much quicker. If anybody wants a more advanced tutorial, I will show them. But for now, I'm just going to show how to clean this and how to clean this. This is a little bit more difficult. I have cleaned this. These stain very bad in my opinion. So it's just hard to say, you know, hey, this is the best thing to use. And I think that's another reason why I do not like the blenders, is because, again, I do not feel like there's as sanitary. So that's why I use these. You just want to wet your brush and get it soaked. Take this. And then you want to rub it in. Make sure it's nice and foamy. People might fight me on that, but fight me, I don't care. My brushes aren't overly dirty, so sorry. These are very easy to clean. That's another reason I use them. But you basically just go and go and go until the water turns clear. My water's actually already clear because, again, I don't use these that often. Same thing with your concealer brush. You just take it, dab the littlest amount. You don't need much at all. Rub it in. And kind of just rinse it. And sometimes if you squeeze them, you can tell there's a little bit more in there that's not quite coming out. But for the most part, these are very easy to clean. Now, this one's not really dirty. I don't use it often, but you want to squeeze the sponge and get a lot of water in there. At least that's how I've learned to clean them. Dab a little bit, and they have specific sponge cleaner for this, I'm pretty sure, but I don't use it because I don't use my sponge much. But see, the more you squeeze, you just kind of want to rub it between your fingers. And again, that's about all you can do with these. And like I said, I can never really get these completely clean. I have the hardest time with it just for the simple fact that there's only so much squeezing and stuff you can do with this. And it's just, I don't know. I'm not a beauty blender hater, don't get me wrong. Sometimes this is great, especially if you want a flawless complexion and things like that. But it can be a pain in the butt. And now I'm going to show you how to set them to dry. Alright, now my brushes are all soaking wet, stuff like that. What you want to do is I take a towel and I press down. These are very tightly packed brushes, like I said. So, you know, it doesn't really disform it very much. And with the Beauty Blender, I set it on the towel and I wrap the towel around it and I squeeze all of it out as much as I can. And I'm sorry for the crap of this video, guys. I'm trying to get it to focus for you, but with having to hold it and stuff. But I squeeze as much of this as I can out. This one I just leave out, but I'll show you if you don't have a rack to hold your wet brushes, You always want to hold your brush or get your brushes washed and dry them so that the water does not go back to the glue. Your brushes are held together with glue and things like that, and I'll show you in the other ones too. And you don't want to lay them like this. It's going to soak up in the glue and all of this is going to fall out. So you don't want to do that. Something you can do is, right, this is what I do. I take it, sorry, I'm trying to balance the phone, and I hang it upside down next to like a rail. I'll wrap it around once, make sure it's nice and secure, and then I'll bring it up around it, and then hook it like that. And it just keeps it upside down, you know, keeps it so it can drip dry. There's my cat again. And you want to do that for all your brushes, or you want to make sure they stay upside down like that. You can do it with these. It's very important with these. Reason being is this entire section, nothing but glue. Nothing but glue. I've had so many of these break because I did not know that you need to hang them upside down. So that's just a quick tip on taking care of your brushes, which brushes to use, yada, yada, yada.